Hello everyone and welcome back to Secret Leaders. I'm Dan.
I'm Chris.
And Chris, what have you been up to lately?
Well, it's a business show, so I might talk a little bit about business.
Oh, spoil us.
Yeah? Been thinking recently about doing my first in-person mastermind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The classic well-trodden path.
Yeah. And obviously, I run a cohort, and lots of people from the cohort have asked to do in-person, much more extensive training with me. And so that's what I'm wrestling with at the moment. Where to do it, how to do it. And yeah, for those that don't know, obviously like cohort is I've been training people to build personal brand. I've been training people to build digital products, scale their digital businesses, lead gen, etc. And a huge group of those people want to do like much deeper in-person training. And I remember I was part of a mastermind when I was 25 as an entrepreneur. Like I think my business was making £1 million a year, I think, when I was 25. And I joined a mastermind of other entrepreneurs who also were in a similar position. And I thought it was awesome at that age.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I want to try and do. So people who are making, medium seven figures, so like 1 to 5 million turnover businesses, I will help them scale their businesses. So yeah, I've been really enjoying like how to put it together. It will be probably in the US, which is where a lot of my customers are. So yeah, I've been kind of last couple of weeks really diving deep on that.
You're sort of like a sexy younger Richard Harpin.
What was his thing?
Business leader.
Yeah, but it's 8 secrets to being a billionaire? No.
5 secrets to get you into bed with home serve.
He does have that great saying, which a lot of people say, which is copy and pivot. I do like that.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember the other 8.
Well, he also came up with the one which was, was it coachment? Like
yes,
coaching, mentoring. I was like, they're not all going to land, Richard.
Context.
They're not all going to land.
For the whole audience, I'm not comparing myself to Richard Harpin. He did, and I don't think that's true. Richard Harpin has legit built a £4 billion company.
True.
Yeah.
But you are younger and sexier.
Sure.
Are you going to sit here and dispute that?
He's a good-looking man. So, Dan, what's new with you? What's new with you?
Well, seeing as you ask, I'm going tomorrow. I'm going skiing.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going with Margot and my wife, and she's pregnant.
Margot is his kid.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, well corrected.
Yes.
So my wife and my 3-year-old.
He's an experimental man, so I mean,
yeah, exactly. Fair enough. It needs clarification in this time. And Melissa isn't like that keen. It's more like I was like, I'm taking Margot skiing. She's unfussed about it, and then she got pregnant, and I was like, well, probably won't be doing much skiing. You can sit at home on your own, like if you want, but kind of seems pointless. Why don't you just come with, and then you just eat fondue and whatever it is people do in Switzerland whilst I take her skiing, and it'll be nice. So Margot and I are going skiing. She's going to learn how to stick some skis on her feet and probably have a few tantrums. And I probably won't do any skiing, but I have this vision in my head that I will be. I'm going with a friend who's housing us in his chalet, and I think it'll be a really nice few days.
Is it an entrepreneur friend?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually really...
Do you have any friends who aren't entrepreneurs?
Not really.
Yeah.
But it's actually very cool. He's like, Can you
name names?
I'm not going to name names. Also, this guy's he runs a multi-billion-dollar company, so I won't actually name him this time.
Fine.
He, amazingly, I was like, do I need to rent a car? Like, we're getting to Geneva. What should I do? And he's like, basically, I don't really understand it, but his exact words were, there's a car for you in Geneva. I'll give you the details when you land. As in, not like a driver's picking you up, but like my spare Geneva car is there or something. Pretty
that
cool.
Makes sense.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I won't need to rent a car. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, other than the flights costing me nothing, which is even better. It's the best kind of skiing.
Very cool.
Managing international money used to drive me crazy until I found Wise Business, the account for doing business in other currencies. I can hold money in different currencies and only convert when the rates are good. No more rushing to exchange at bad rates or losing money on outrageous fees. And my team handles all the payments themselves. I don't have to micromanage anything. They have their own logins, set their own limits, and I just keep an eye on things from my phone. One simple account lets you pay and get paid in over 40 currencies. There's no hidden fees, no marked up exchange rates, and it connects right to your accounting software. Whether you're paying vendors or suppliers in Europe or you're getting paid from Australia, it's all just easy. And that's what I love about Wise. It just takes this complicated thing and it makes it really simple. Your money's always secure with 24/7 protection, and you can see exactly where everything is in real time. To learn more about how you can use Wise Business to save time, money, and stress, visit wise.com/business. So before we get on to the main episode, I hope you listened to our episode with TJ Power on dopamine. I thought it was absolutely awesome. He's great. Go check out his book. But before you do that, obviously listen to the episode. So what do we got on the docket today, Chris?
So this week, Dan, we have a story called The Big Burger Heist. We want to give credit to Alif Hussein for sharing this on Twitter. But in 2018, Burger King launched a really clever marketing campaign called the Whopper Detour that turned their biggest competitor, as in McDonald's, strengths into their weaknesses. So they offered 1-cent burgers, 1-cent Whoppers, to anyone who downloaded their Burger King app and placed an order while physically standing inside a McDonald's restaurant. The mechanics of the promotion were simple but required a lot of effort from customers. They had to download the Burger King app, go into a McDonald's, place an order while inside, and then travel to the nearest Burger King to pick up their 1-cent Whopper. So rather than competing with McDonald's crazy marketing budget and obviously their insane stores and the big, yellow M, McDonald's had no legal way of stopping customers from coming into their stores to just stand there and download the Burger King app. This meant that Burger King could freely hijack McDonald's as locations for marketing. So the campaign drove, this is insane, by the way. The campaign drove 1.5 million app downloads in 9 days, making Burger King's app the most downloaded fast food app in America.
What?
The campaign proved to be a massive success. The Burger King app became the most downloaded fast food app. The company attributed $6 billion in sales growth to the digital initiative. And I suppose the promotion and the marketing just shows how creativity can overcome a bigger competitor. So what do you think about that?
That is sick.
Yeah, that is sick.
That's unreal.
Yeah, I'm almost sitting here thinking, how could you use that idea in your own, in your own businesses?
It's so offensively rude as well. So competitive. Do you know what I mean? It's so in your face. I think to do that, you really need a very clear core enemy.
Yeah, and they do. I mean, they are. Yeah,
totally.
Exactly. Pepsi could do that to Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and Chick-fil-A could do it to KFC. But beyond that, there's not many where you're like, that's the one. I want a
KFC now that you've said that.
Sorry, I want a Chick-fil-A now I've said that.
Yeah. So if you were McDonald's, how would you respond to that?
That's a great question. Because they've got quite a fun tone of voice as well, McDonald's.
Yeah. I mean, it's all... In some ways, I sit here and think that Burger King winning means McDonald's wins as well. Because, that they are both fighting a ever-losing battle against healthy food.
Yes.
So actually, I think that by making their sector fun and interesting, I think they do probably build it together.
I suppose you could do something really odd, and once basically the only way to tackle this is
I had an idea.
You'd have to basically do a +1 on it, which is once you're in the Burger King getting your burger, you then have to do another promotion back to get them back in the McDonald's.
You have to take a photo of your burger in the bin, and then you can come back to McDonald's and get a full price with XXX.
Exactly, and just make photos of Burger King and bin
on
viral.
The floor.
Yeah,
exactly. That's quite good. That's quite good. Do you think other big brands, so we said Coke and Pepsi, do you think other big brands could do something similar? So Target, Walmart, could they do something like that?
Thing is, a lot of this, I mean, the answer is yes, but what's interesting is how much of this sort of social media driven behavior also goes against the grain of things that people say they care about, like sustainability and food waste. And
we had that episode with Emily Austin, which we'll put somewhere here, where we talk about PR for this here. For the sake of PR. You are selling a burger while you fucking around with all this stuff. I do think that one is genius. But if Walmart and Target try to do it, it might look a bit of budget. It might make the customers just be like, get a grip.
Pretty cool though. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to some advice.
Right.
Few people have sent questions in this week, and if you want to ask us something, please send your question in as well.
Yeah, send them in. You're getting top dollar advice here.
Yeah, it's true.
You know. Yeah, in the link, Jace told me off camera, there's going to be somewhere you can send the ideas to.
It's just an email address.
An email address of description that I don't know. So Dan,
Chris is actually really expensive to get advice from now, so I would get this. I would get this advice off him. I'm still quite cheap.
you can't book time with you, can
Your
you?
price is going up and up. I'm priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're without price.
Exactly. Sans prix.
Nowadays I wouldn't do one-on-one coaching anymore.
Okay, so you get this all for free. So here's the question. Our growth has plateaued, but our costs keep rising. At what point do we admit the business model might be fundamentally flawed?
Now.
You just answered it. Next.
Our growth has plateaued, but our costs keep rising. Yeah, I mean, you've got to really think about the unit economics of that business. Because if your growth is actually slowing down, but your costs are rising, it's probably a marketing acquisition thing. Probably your CAC or something is going up, but you're not seeing that throughput into the business. So, yeah, I'd question the product at that point.
Yeah, or messaging. Right product for wrong market.
Yeah.
But something's off.
I mean, that's quite rare. But yeah.
Is it?
Right product for wrong market, yeah.
In B2C, that's probably quite common. Yeah. More common, maybe.
Security compliance is one of those things that can silently derail your business. Not because it's impossible, but because most of us put it off until it becomes urgent. And by then, it's often too late. I want to tell you about Vanta because it fundamentally changed how our company handles compliance. They've built a system that automates preparing for SOC 2 and ISO 27001 certification, turning what used to be months of tedious work into a straightforward process. What makes Vanta different is that they understand this isn't just about checking boxes. It's about building trust with your customers while protecting your business. That's why over 8,000 companies, from two-person startups to major enterprises, rely on their platform. If you're growing your business and you know security compliance is something you need to address, visit vanta.com/secret leaders. They're offering $1,000 off your first year, and honestly, it's worth every penny just for the peace of mind. It's the solution you wish you'd found years ago. Use Vanta so you don't get slowed down by security paperwork and focus on what matters, growing your business. Visit vanta.com/secret leaders now and get $1,000 off your first year.
Okay, my personal brand is bigger than my company's and investors see it as a risk. How do you balance being the face of the company versus building something bigger than yourself? That's a good question and a great one for Chris.
I actually see the personal brand as like a stepping off point, like a leg up for the brand. Especially if you have a personal brand and you're launching a business, you can launch the business to your audience, which gives you massively free distribution and kind of an unfair advantage on your competitors that don't have a personal brand. Now, if your personal brand is bigger than your business, which is a position that I actually have found myself in previously, your investors will think there is a potential risk there. But I would always say that the point is you're able at that point to give your business an unfair advantage against everyone else. And the example I always use is when we first launched Lottie, we were like 8 months in. I was 8 months into the social care sector and I was being asked to be the keynote at most of the conferences. And it was because I had an audience and it's because I was able to bring followers and interest to things. And so I rarely think it's a negative unless it's taking your eye off the ball, which I think is, there's a lot of people now who focus on personal brand before they focus on business. And I think that might be a bit of a mistake. Like I would always think to yourself, it has to be monetizable, even if you haven't got like a direct business. But building followers for the sake of followers and the vanity of it, I'm not a huge fan of. And so I would explain to your investors that if your audience is aligned with your business, it is only upside.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. If those two things are aligned, then you're in alignment.
Yeah.
There's an interesting tension where if you personally do something bad, get too political, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You can see this, for example, people like Alex Karp and Peter Thiel, with Palantir and stuff, like, they'll go on record and say X, Y, and Z, and it can tank the share price or bring up the share price, obviously.
Yeah.
Elon, is a very obvious example of this, right? Like, more into politics he's getting, the more people are just revolting against having Teslas and stuff. So you can see the downside of it.
Yeah, I mean, the people you've referenced there are like some of the most famous and successful entrepreneurs in the history of the world ever, and probably will ever be. I would say for your ordinary person, I would just say try not to do too many inflammatory things. I mean, it's not like if you're in your first business, don't be posting about politics all the fucking time. Because what's the point? Like your mission is not to, as Elon Musk's has been, so basically like what he wants to get rid of the woke virus. Like that's a pretty big, existential mission that he's on personally. Like your mission might be to get your agency clients.
Yeah.
So like don't think bigger than you are. Use it for what it's worth. Don't overcomplicate things.
Yeah, it's so true. And
I would actually say as well, practice just not having a fucking opinion on everything. That will make you feel much better.
Nice. Or if you do have an opinion on something, make it in your area of expertise around what your business is.
There you go.
Okay. Everyone's telling me to focus on one thing, but every new opportunity looks amazing. How do you know which doors to close? Classic ADHD vibes.
This is just my life. I would say that the rule I came up with last year, and I'm trying to keep it in place as much as possible, is that someone will tell me a new idea and I'll become completely fucking obsessed with it, and I will like think about it non-stop, etc. But I've set myself the rule now that I have to be as excited about it a month later to continue the conversation. And if I'm as excited a month later, then I might think it's worth investing in, advising, supporting, collaborating with, whatever the thing was. But a good example is last year or the year before, while running my businesses and being really busy and all the rest of it, I very nearly launched a paddle brand. And it's because I love paddle so much that I was like, okay, I kind of know I have access to lots of capital. I know how like land works from previous businesses I've been involved in. I could build a fucking huge online community on paddle. I was like, I have all the pieces. And then suddenly, after days and days and days of this work, looking at land in London, etc., I was like, what are you fucking doing? Just play paddle. You love paddle. You don't have to businessify everything.
Oh, it's a shame. I wish you had that paddle brand.
Yeah.
I bought my shoes from you.
Yeah, well. So I would just say, like, the key is you don't want to do too many things. Like, you actually want to be very focused on one or two things until you become successful enough. And even still, like, I find now being involved in a variety of different companies often more stressful than just being involved in one, more all in.
I can give an interesting example potentially from Heights. So rather than going like meta on like all the different opportunities that come my way and how I say no to those, with Heights, I'm pretty certain that we are more successful, growing more than most of the brands that I see in a lot of places, especially in a lot of retail. Brands that seem to be everywhere and have great brand presence, I think they're a lot smaller than us from what I can ascertain. And the reason is we took a strategic decision from the get-go to do nothing other than direct to consumer until it became excruciatingly clear that that channel had basically completely saturated for us. And so we've got no Amazon, no retail, no affiliates, no other website in the world sells Heights. There's like literally nothing other than you have to come to our website and you have to get a subscription to our products. The thing is, for years, that stuff's not working. It's not all working. But the focus on knowing that the best business we can make is a simple business and the one that we understand and we back our own quality and everything else. So the confidence of knowing that your product's good enough to work out how to solve this problem means that the strategy of saying no to everything other than the way that you want to do it and the way that you want to build it best actually means I think we've got a bigger business now than most of the ones I see everywhere else. When I go into retail and I see a lot of the other brands, I don't think they're doing as well as us. And some I know for a fact aren't, but I think the brand perception of them is much larger.
Like Steve Jobs, when he took over Apple again, he actually brought down the distribution from third parties and made it much more pure.
Totally, because at the end of the day, it's not a good signal if you're just on the shelf the whole time. A good signal is selling out all the time. So, I mean, there's a to and fro of this. Like, there's a right time for it. But it's a good example of like how to say no. Like until I can prove that is that we've exhausted squeeze the lemon as much as possible in this space, it's an easy one to say no, because I still think we've got more to go on direct to consumer on our website. So that's just a good framing to think about. Like when you do say no, the power that it gives you is enormous, because then even when I'm trying to work out, for example, how to grow on social, which is basically the main job if you're doing direct to consumer, I still have to work out which of these like 500 ambassadors that are coming my way who are customers of ours, which 10 do I have budget to pick this year? Like that's still saying no to 490, but still having to spend a lot of time thinking. But that's just when trying to do one channel really well. Now multiply that with which retail stores do you want? What location? There's just decisions. So if you want to build a great business that lasts, I think it's a really, really healthy experiment to see how much you can say no to and how much you can focus.
So obviously I know Heights really well. I've been a Heights customer for a long time. How do you think now about product development? Because I feel like the crazy success that Heights has had has probably come through market awareness, but also probably bundling products.
Yeah, bundling products is a really good way to raise revenue, or AOV, average order value, from your customers. But again, simplicity of what is SKUs, which I think is stock keeping units, is the official.
Is that what that means?
Yeah. Do you know what? I learned this last night after 5 years, because everyone just says,
I worked in e-com for, so I didn't know what it meant.
Everyone just says SKUs, and it's one of those things I'm always like, I need to Google this at some point, and I finally did last night, so I'm really happy to tell you it means stock keeping units.
Makes sense.
So technically we've got 3 SKUs.
Yeah,
3 SKUs.
The amount of times I told e-commerce brands over the years, just like have limited SKUs.
Yeah.
Without knowing what it meant.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? That is actually a key to success. It's the same thing, same answer when this person says everyone's telling me to focus on one thing. We had one product in the market for 3.5 years. So we're in our 5th year now, but for 3.5 years, one product in the market means you really get to focus on like one thing, doing one thing well. And if you're distracted with lots of other things, it can be really difficult to understand who you're creating products for and how you can help them. So I think that's been really, really good. Obviously, the other side with Heights was when I saw all the other supplement companies that are out there. The world doesn't need more supplement companies. In fact, the world doesn't need more companies, full stop. So you have to have a really good reason why you're doing your thing, right? And for us, when we saw everyone else going broad, as in here's 100 supplements that you can take from our website, we were like, let's just go deep. Get rid of all of those things. What is like the one super product that we could make that combines as much as possible into one product? And how do we do that in vitamins, which is what Vitals is? How do we do that with minerals, which is what our magnesium is? How do we do it with bacteria, which is the probiotic? So like we think across different categories, broad categories, rather than being like also buy your, vitamin D here and your K2 here and your calcium here. It's like, no. There's plenty of companies that do that. No one needs that. When everyone else goes broad, we're going to go deep. And I think that simplicity is really important.
I think it was the CEO of Netscape who said there are 2 ways to make money in business: bundling and unbundling.
That's funny.
Which we've seen in so many industries. I mean, cable became everything. And then now you had niche, services, and now things are being bundled again. It's very interesting. I mean, it is, if you watch business over time, it is what happens.
It's so true. And you have like you said, cable, and then like there's Netflix, and you have to get like Netflix and Disney and Amazon.
Yeah,
and even within that, you got to then get Paramount, like the individual channel.
I can't remember, but the high street was basically bundling and unbundling as well.
Yeah,
you got stores that ended up being everything stores, and then now they don't exist anymore, but now things are much more niche.
And that's a wrap.
Well, ladies and gents, thanks for tuning in, as always. It's nice to have you here.
Next week, we have Philip Bellamont, who is the founder of Zilch. They are a unicorn. They're sort of a buy now, pay later company that turned really into an advertising company. It's an awesome episode. He's an awesome guy, as is Chris. So tune in next week to see us all.
Make sure that you subscribe on YouTube and do what you need to do on the audio channels.
Press buttons.
Press follow and subscribe on the audio channels.
See you next week.
See you next time.